that we need to do as analysts is to just go through the data and ensure that everything is okay. And please feel free to interject and give me directions or pointers where I might miss a point. But I think the first thing as an analyst that we need to do is go through the data and make sure that everything is okay. So we are going to go to transform data and just try and understand what we are working with. So the first thing that I'm seeing is the naming of the files is not clearly. So we can see that the first table is titled 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and then sales final with some numbers. So I'm thinking that should be the first thing that we do. We have to rename our tables, and we also have to make our data go through a transformation. So for the data set that we had, the brand is labeled with numbers. And then we have description, which is like the different names of the items that were being sold there. And then we have the price. And then we have an empty column. Then we have the size, volume, and all that. So we need to check for the data types of the data that we do have. Sorry, just a minute. I think I moved too fast. So if we click on the data itself, we can see the data types showing up here, and we can also be able to change them. So the brand are represented by numbers. We can see that it's a whole number, so that's okay. The description, we can see that it's text. I think that's okay. The price, we can see that it has decimal numbers, and then that's just an empty column. The size is okay. Volume is okay. We have another empty column, and then we have this as a whole number. We have a decimal, we have vendor number, and then we have the vendor name. So we can see that everything is okay for this particular table. So what we need to do is remove the columns that we do not need. Before I continue, are we supposed to be recording? Because I haven't recorded anything.
Yes, we're supposed to record.
Can somebody walk me through that? I can't see the record button from my screen.
I think Nehemiah is supposed to help us with that. Nehemiah?
He's recording.
He's recording, okay. All right. So we can see that all the data here is okay when it comes to data types. So what we need to do is remove the empty columns. So how I would approach it is I'll just select that column, right click, and then do delete because it's empty. And then I'll do the same for this column here. And then, so once that is done, I can see that the naming of my table is also not okay. So I can just come click on the three dots there and say rename. So this one is a table for invoices. So I can just call it invoice data. And then that will be okay. And then we have to check the other table, and we can see that the vendor number is a whole number. We have text, we have date, which is okay, a whole number. Then we have date. We have the pay date is also okay. The quantity is okay. Dollars is okay. Right. And then on approval, it's text. So you can see that everything is okay. The only thing we need to do is rename this table to PO, LPO or PO data, the purchase order data. I think that's the only thing that we need to change. Then we can go through the other table, the sales table, and just go through the data. We can see the inventory ID is okay. The quantity, the size, description is text, brand. So basically, we can see that the data types have been correctly marked, and we don't have a lot to change. So everything on this part is okay. Yeah, so another thing that we were supposed to go through was the formatting. So I think formatting and understanding data and correcting errors would fall under the same category. So we've gone through the data. Then there is this transformation here that usually happens. So if you come to home, you will see transform data. So if you click on that one, you can just go through the data and see if there are errors that we need to do. So we can see that the data set that we did load has some errors. So we can just go through the list and see. So like this one, for example, it says that an error occurred in the invoice data query expression was not found. So this is the column that we deleted. And then on the invoice data is the same column that we deleted. So if we load this data, just for example, we can add more columns to this table, and we can also remove some other columns. So what I would like to demonstrate here is how to like create more columns from the date column, even though we might not use it. I think it's important. So if you select one of the column dates, so let's say, for example, we want to do the sales date, and then we want to create more columns from the date, maybe to get the month or the week number or something like that. So we can just click on the sales date. Then we come to the add column tab here. Yes?
We can't see anything you're doing. We can hear you talking, but it's like your screen is frozen.
Oh, okay, just a minute.
I think the screen is visible. Maybe it's on your end. Or maybe you can try to stop sharing and then reshare back.
No, the screen is visible, but it's not moving. It's visible, but it's not moving.
It's not moving?
Yes, meaning what you are doing is not showing on the screen.
Okay, let me see. Let me stop sharing and share it again.
Sure.
So is it moving now?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Okay. So let me just take a step back to what I was doing. I stopped sharing again. Sorry about that. So I was explaining of how I would generate more columns from the sales column date. So I would come to transform data and then transform data. And then I had chosen the sales data final, and then I went to the sales date, which is this one. So I wanted to create more columns from this one so that I can be able to know the month, the year, even the day of the week from that. So from here, from the sales date, I would come to add column, and then I'll choose this date function here.
It's frozen again. Your screen is frozen again.
I don't know what's happening. All right. Let me use a different browser and see if anything will change. So I'm using Chrome now, and I think everything is okay. Okay. So I had reached at a place where I had selected the sales date column, and then I went to the date part, and I want to extract the week name and then the month name. Sorry, I want to extract the day name and the month name, and this will help us later during the dashboard creation. So the first one that I will generate is the name of the day. So this one should be able to create a new column that is called day name, and it's just going to be from Monday to Friday, depending on the date. And then I'll generate another one for month. And we can do for week, quarter, or even year, if need be, depending on the KPIs that we want to achieve using our data. So I think that is it for the sales table. I don't think there's anything here.
I don't know, maybe it's only my screen, but it's still frozen down here.
I don't know why it is freezing. Can anyone else confirm if it is still frozen?
Yes, please, it is.
Okay, let me call Imran because I was supposed to work with him and see if he can be able to join and share his screen. Sorry guys about that. It could be my laptop. Okay. I hope everything is okay now. So I have just created these two columns here, the month and the day name from the sales date. So you can actually be able to generate time-based columns depending on the KPIs that are given. Some companies may want to do it monthly, quarterly, or weekly. It all just depends. It's just the same procedure as I had showed to do that.
Please, can you repeat that procedure because it was not shown?
Okay, I'll repeat it. So what I did was there was this sales date column here. So I selected the sales date and then I came to this tab here called add column. And then there's this from date and time. And then I clicked on this arrow here under the date. So depending on the KPIs of a company, you might want to analyze something on a monthly basis, on a quarterly basis, weekly, or just to see what day of the week it was. So if you have data running from like several years, you can just choose the year one, and then you can either choose just the whole year, start or end of year. For our data is just for 2016, so it will not demonstrate it well. So you can see everything is for 2016, the one that's been added. And then if you go back to the sales data on time, if you choose month, you can either choose the name or the days in month or the end month, but it makes sense to choose the month name, which when we clicked on the month name, we got the January and February. It will just extract the month name from the date. And then you can pick the week or you can pick the day. So for the day, you can choose the number or you can choose the name of the day or end of day. So for us, we chose the name of the day. And when we clicked on name of the day, it brought us to these the normal Monday, Tuesday to Friday. So that is how we were able to format the date to create more columns from that. Yes, unless there's any other question on data transformation that we can clear up before we move forward, we can be able to do that. So another thing that we will cover that later on during the dashboard creation. So I think that will be enough for this one.
Excuse.
Yes.
Could you please repeat? I did not get how you used you added the column from the what is it called, from the ribbon above. Could you please repeat that process for generating the date? Just do the day or any month or date.
Okay, so let me delete this one and then I do it again. Okay, so I came to this column that had date as the sales date, and then I came here to add column, this particular one, and then I came to this column that says time. So I clicked on this small arrow down here, and then I went to day and I said name of day. And then the name of the day was added. Because it is still here, that's why it is giving us a different name, but we can always give it a different name to just match the data that we have. We can say this is day, weekday, or day of week, or something like that. So my understanding for this one was that if, for example, you are working for a company, majority of these things will depend on the KPIs that you've been given. So if you've been told to do quarterly analysis, for example, you'll just come here and maybe choose quarter and say, for example, quarter of the year and see what it brings. So you can see that this one is in quarter one. So if we go back to the date, we can see that it's January, and for most companies, January to March is usually quarter one. And if we look at this one, for example, in which month is this? This is still January. So majority of this data is just January and February. That's why most of these quarters is going to be just one. But if you have a large data set, you'll be able to break it down into different quarters, different months, and different years, depending on what the company is trying to achieve. I think that is clear. So I'll go to close and apply so that we can look at another item. Okay, so that one has finished saving. Jabet, do you have anything to add if you're in the meeting?
Yes, I'm in the meeting. I'm trying to load the data. It's downloading very slowly on my computer, so I don't know. Just give it a few minutes maybe.
Okay, so if we don't have anything that we need clarification on, we can just go and start try to create dashboards and try to make sense of the data that we do have. So as before we just
Veronica,
yes.
there was a question in the chat. Someone was asking, what will the data type appear if a particular column has a mix of text and numbers?
I don't know how that will be. We can just try and change this one. For example, let's transform one of the data here, the column that has number, and then we add text to it, and then we see what happens. That's actually a good idea. I had not thought about it.
I think it will appear as text.
It will appear as text.
Yes.
All right. I can see that I was trying to change this one to a text, and I have this error saying I need to enter a valid value. So I think it will appear as text before the data transformation, but after the data transformation, if we need to replace any values, we have to do the correct data type. Thank you for the question. So I can go ahead and try to do the dashboards, and then we can see if we can create a story or meaningful KPIs from what we have been given. So the first thing that because this is this sales data is like on wines and the bottle of wines and stuff like that, and it looks like data from a business that was specifically focused on making profit. The first question that somebody might ask is, how much money am I collecting maybe per month or per week, or on what days am I selling the most? So the first dashboard that we created was a bar graph that was showing how much sales were coming in per month for that particular year of 2016, just for the 2 months, to see which month was selling the most. So from here, we are going to take the month name. It's going to be the y-axis will be the sum of dollars in a month, because we want to see how are we doing, or how much money are we collecting in that particular month. And from what we can be able to see here is that we made a lot of sales in January, but in February, there were like not a lot of activity was going on there. So that was the first thing, the first KPI we thought of from a business point of view. Another thing that we thought about was, since we are dealing with wines and we are selling a lot of them here, from a business point of view, managers might want to know what which wines are selling the most. So for that, we thought about using the top N functionality to fetch the top selling items. So for us to be able to get that, we will need to use this table from the visualization here. And then from the sales, from the data here, we need to know the description, because from the data, it is the description that tells us exactly what this thing is, what it's called. And then another column that we would want to see is the sales in dollars. So when you do a table and you just drag columns or descriptions into this one, it summarizes it for you. So for the description, we want to get a distinct count, and the reason is, hey, what happened? Because we need to know what are we selling the most. So when you do drag it in the table, you can see that it's just telling you the total amount of money you've sold so far is 33 million. But maybe the idea is you want to know what is it that you are selling the most. So on the filters pane, we need to do a top N filtering here. And then when we do top N, we have to drag these cells in dollars and put it under that value and say top N, which is like top 10. When you apply the filter, it will only filter for you the bottles that are selling the most. So maybe from a business point of view, you can be able to focus on these ones, or maybe re-strategize and work on the ones that are not selling the most. So from a KPI point of view business, that is something that we might want to understand from the data. And then something else that you might want to know from the data is, because you are selling wine, like what are the days of the week, for example, that you are supposed to stay open, right? So we can see that, of course, we are selling. The data showed us initially that we made 33 million and all that. But what are the days that our customers are coming in big numbers so that we can be able to show up and sell to them? So we can use a bar chart for this one. And for this bar chart, we can look for the day name, which will be Monday to Friday. And then because it's a for-profit business, then we have to figure out which days are bringing us more money as a business. So we can be able to see that most of these days are operational on Friday, Saturday, and a bit on Sunday. But these other days, it's a little bit lower. So from maybe leadership and employee allocation, we can choose to do a lot of employees coming to work on the weekend, from Friday through the weekend, and then they rest during the week, or redefine weekends for your employees to be on Tuesday and Monday, for example. Do we have any questions? I realized I'm talking a lot.
Could we try average instead of sum?
Average.
Yeah.
For the top N?
No, the one for the sum of sales per week, as in a week.
Okay. So if we do average, you see it's almost the same.
Oh, okay. I wanted to see the difference. Thank you.
Yeah. And then, like, if we go back to the data, we can see that we are working with stores, and we are also working with brands. So for that one, we can just get a new card and count how many stores we have and how many brands we are dealing with for that for our business. So if we do that, we can see that it's not looking so well. We can just format it for it to look a little bit presentable. So we can change the shape, and we can also just change the fonts and everything. So we can see that it is saying that the store is sum, so we have to change that because we can only count the stores, distinct count. And then the brand is also supposed to be a distinct count because a brand cannot be counted twice. So you can see that the figures have changed when we do distinct count. So we are working with around 7.6K brands, and we have 76 stores that are operational. And another thing that you might want to know is, because you can see from the data that we've been given, we have different sizes of the bottles. There's a column. So you can see that you have 750 ml, and then if you scroll down, it gets to be different. So we can also plot that one so that we can have a visual representation of how our items are selling. So maybe we can do a line graph for this one and do size. And because the size is going to be on the x-axis, and then on the y-axis, we want to know how many of these are we selling. So I chose to do sum of quantity because looking at the data, we can see that if we are selling like 1.75 L, it is coming like on a different, like it's 1, 1, 1. So for us to be able to get how many bottles we sold of that size, we can do sum of that. So that's why it is sum. So we can deduct from this graph that we are selling a majority of our bottles at 750 ml, and this is what is selling the most. So even if we have to do restocking and everything, we can choose to focus on these ones and then buy small items of the rest of the other items. So I think, Jabet, do you have anything that you can add?
No, I think we've done the process of creating a dashboard clearly. But unless anyone has a question.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so something that I have realized, just practicing with a lot of Excel sheets that I've downloaded online, the dashboard that you are going to create will depend on the data. And if it's a corporate setting, let's say, for example, Sarit, you're going to be able to create this dashboard depending on what the customer needs and not necessarily what you want as an analyst or somebody who is going to create the dashboard. And yeah, so basically it depends on the KPIs, the data, and what the manager or the customer or the client needs from you as a BI developer. So if we don't have like any other questions, I don't know. Imran was to cover from DAX, the DAX part, and the calculations working with tables and variables. But he's still on the road and he's not able to join us at the moment. Hi, Vina. So I was saying that if we don't have any other question on when it comes to like the process of creating a dashboard and the process of understanding the data, one of the partners we were working with, Imram, is still on the road. So he's going to take us through the DAX operators, conditional statements, and working with variables and advanced calculations. But he's not able to join us as we speak. So we might have to have another session tomorrow to complete on that.
Can we give him a few more minutes? He just called me.
He just called you. Okay.
Yeah, he just called me. He told me he's almost reaching his house. So maybe we give him a few more minutes.
Okay, that would be okay.
Anyone with a comment or question as we wait? Or how many are available tomorrow? Start from there, because I know there are some guys who might be traveling tomorrow.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, I guess if you can talk, maybe you can send number 1 on the chat for those who are available so that we see how many. You can just type 1 on the chat box so we know how many are available tomorrow. Okay, so seems we have 2, 1. Okay, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 people out of 17 have confirmed they'll be available tomorrow. Anyone else who is on the call will be available tomorrow?
Yes, I'll be available tomorrow.
Oh, okay, thank you, Ray. So that's 9 people confirmed. 10. Oh, thank you guys. So should we give Imran a few more minutes or do we reschedule to tomorrow so that we also let him settle?
I think we should let her just round up what she's saying, before we conclude, so that we have like a definite point.
We should what?
We should let her round up what she's saying, so that unless she has concluded that part, so that we have a definite point to get stopping.
I have concluded on my part.
Okay, that's fantastic. That's fantastic then.
Okay, let me see if I can get him. Lorraine is suggesting we ask whether he's available tomorrow. I'm sure he is. He told me he was available today, but he had to attend to an impromptu meeting. So let me just try and get him on call and find out whether he has something for us today or we should just meet tomorrow. Just give me a few minutes and then I'll get back to you. Okay.
Excuse, I have a question.
Yes.
During the Power BI, there was something that the one who was presenting, I don't remember his name. He was using some wages to do the separation of during dashboard, creating a dashboard.
It's Imran.
Oh, it was him.
Yeah.
I was asking how, could you please repeat? I never got that part totally. It was used for spacing. I think it was spacing or something.
I think he can take us through that when he will be doing the DAX part.
Okay, thank you.